Let's check out this 2024 Mustang GT Premium and see, is it actually worth the $50,000 price tag? Before we get into it, big thank you to Chanel from Mark Fick and Ford for giving us this vehicle to review. Link in the description, and this one is for sale. So let's go ahead and start with the design of this car, and I do really like this redesign. I think it stands out just enough from the S550 model so that when you see it in traffic, you know you're looking at a brand new Mustang. You could argue that the S550 took some design elements from like a Mercedes, something more in the luxury space, but this does look more like a muscle car than the previous model. So first of all, right on the hood of this car, you have a massive vent, which is not on the EcoBoost. I am very happy to see that there's enough done to the GTs that make you able to tell you're not looking at an EcoBoost. Also on the front end here, this one has a nice blacked out grille setup, which looks really good on this red color, and you get a lot of room for cooling. First of all, you have kind of 3 sections on the top level grille here to feed air into that engine bay. You have little dividers on the front end of this car, and those are also not on the EcoBoost. They started doing this in 2018, so if you see that, you can tell this apart from an EcoBoost. Also, there's another little grille setup on the bottom here, and this one also has something dividing it up into 2 different pieces down here. I will say, disappointingly, there's not really a splitter on this car. You have this tiny little black lip that runs across the bottom here, but it's not enough to really stand out. And on the side of the GT, it looks like you have another area for cooling right here, but those are actually closed off, so that's really just a design element. And I'm very happy to see that for your headlights, they still kept this sort of tri-LED headlight design. For people that do not know cars, this is the easiest way to spot a Mustang. If it has 3 taillights or 3 little spots in your headlights, you know you're looking at a Mustang. My favorite part about Mustang GTs, of course, is what you get under the hood. Not only are these 5.0 engines reliable, but you can also modify them a ton if you want to. These can handle boost, these can handle a supercharger. Of course, you're going to want to do other upgrades along with that, but these engines are a great platform for doing anything that you desire, and if you keep it stock, it'll last you a long time. So this engine makes 480 horsepower and right around 420 pound-feet of torque. That allows this car to do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and the quarter mile in 12.3 seconds. Those are the same numbers as the Shelby GT500 in 2008. And if you'd like to, you can step up to the Mustang Dark Horse. Those are a bit expensive, but I'm sure we'll review one day. Now let's check out the side of the all-new 2024 Mustang GT. So first of all, you're gonna have 20-inch wheels. I will say the color of these wheels are a little bit iffy on the red color. I do own a red Mustang EcoBoost. Those are blacked out wheels, and I think black on red looks a lot better, but to each their own. Your tire size in the front is gonna be 265, but all of the power is sent to the back, so we'll talk about that in a second. And you also get a completely redesigned 5.0 badge right on the side. I think this fits the styling of the car very well. It's just this nice subtle touch that makes it look really good. Now take a look at the entire side profile of this car as a whole. It does not look that much different at all from the S550 model, but that's okay. I think it still looks awesome. Now in the back of this GT, you also have the exact same situation in the front. 4-piston large Brembo brakes with 265 for your tire width and 20-inch wheels. Now let's take a look at the back of the Mustang GT. And if you know Mustangs, you know this got a lot different, but for some people, you may look at this and say, it doesn't look that different. Yes, it does. First of all, this one has the optional spoiler delete. Again, that's up to your own personal taste, but I think a spoiler on the back end of this car makes it look 10 times better. You're also going to have redesigned taillights in the back, and I think these look a lot more modern and futuristic. I'm glad they kept the same tri-setup with your lights in the back, just like in the front, but this does fit the body style nicely. And the back of this has a lot of sharp angles. For example, this just goes down, then this goes this way, then this goes this way, then this goes this way, and this goes this way. I think it does look pretty cool. You have a redesigned GT badge in the back as well. And one thing that's very interesting to me with the 2024 GTs is they decided to keep the trunk lid the same color as the rest of the car. They never did that on any S550 model before, and this took a while for me to get used to. Now that I've looked at it for long enough, I'm starting to like it. And not to mention, this one has the active exhaust option, which is a bit more than $1,000, but it is worth it. Take a listen to how this thing sounds. Now let's take a look at this interior, which by the way, got a whole lot better from the S550 version. So right when you open up the door on this thing, you'll notice, well, the door panel didn't change at all. You do get Mustang on the door sill, which looks good. And these seats are leather. They're also heated and cooled, but there is no fancy little like GT logo on there. However, they're very comfortable to sit in. And when you do sit in them, you are presented with an absolutely awesome steering wheel, completely redesigned. You get the Mustang logo right in the center there, and also this huge dual screen setup. One one way to easily tell the difference between a premium or a base is those screens will be separated if it's a base model, but if it's a premium, they're connected. Now, your gauge cluster is literally an iPad, and you can configure this thing however you want. If you go into the infotainment system, you're able to select different configurations for your drive modes. Of course, track looks the best. I love the emphasis that it puts on RPMs. And if you look at the RPM gauge in here, it goes all the way up to 7,500. Ford changed the red line on these Mustang GTs in 2018, and that was such a good thing to do for these GTs, because having a red line the same as a Mustang EcoBoost, which happened from 2015 to 2017, really made these vehicles But this one sounds so good, especially when you rev it up that high. And with that 10-speed transmission, of course, this is a naturally aspirated car, so the higher you are in your RPM band, the more power you get, and that 10-speed allows you to keep your car in the power band. Now, other than the door panel, pretty much everything in the front of this car got redesigned. So let's take a look at the center console, where, it's not that cool. You can option for the drift brake in the GT, which I would consider doing because it makes it feel all that more special. But in the center console, you get your ability to shift from park, reverse, neutral, drive. You get your parking brake, 2 cup holders, and a pretty nicely sized storage space in here as well. Now, if you look above your center console, you're going to see a little Mustang logo. If you click that, it takes you to a very nice spot in your infotainment system. So let's start with the first option, which is called Track Apps. Click that and you'll see 4 buttons: acceleration timer, brake performance, lap timer, and line lock. First of all, line lock allows you to do burnouts very easily if you want to. And if you click acceleration timer, you're able to test your 0 to 30, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, quarter mile, and so on. And by the way, this car has a drag strip mode built into it. Now, below Track Apps, you'll see a button called auxiliary gauges. If you click that, you're able to see your oil pressure, your battery voltage, and your G-forces. Below the auxiliary gauges is custom mode. If you click that, you're able to adjust every single thing about this car. But better yet, there is a button on this steering wheel that gives you quick access to switch modes while you're driving. And it keeps getting better. This car has ambient lighting. So you'll see a button called My Color, and you can adjust your primary and secondary ambient lighting colors in this car. Now, below My Color, you're gonna see something called Cluster Theme. Click that and scroll to the bottom, and you'll see something that says Fox Body 87 through 93. If you click that, it actually changes your gauge cluster to the old school design for the Fox Body Mustangs back in the day. And I gotta say, this infotainment system is so responsive, so easy to use, and gives you all of those cool features. Not to mention, you also get valet mode, so you can pull up to a 5-star restaurant and just act like a baller if you want to. Make sure your valet doesn't take it for a joyride. And you also get a heated steering wheel, which feels fantastic, and heated and cooled seats for the front seats. Now, I really like the redesign they did for the passenger side dash. That looks fantastic. It's cleaned up. You get some nice trim, black material, and you get a Mustang logo right in there as well. Not to mention white stitching down there too. This interior got a whole lot better, and that's great because Mustangs are known for just having that performance, but they don't have the interior or the luxury. This one actually does. And the back seats for this car literally got no different, which is okay. I mean, you're really only going to use that for practicality anyway. Again, big thank you to Chanel from Mark Fick and Ford for letting us check this vehicle out. If you're interested in this specific one, go ahead and check out the link in the description because it is for sale. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.